All right, let's do this. All right, so the first thing, so this is all going to be very casual. It doesn't have to be fancy or anything like that. But can you say your name, either your birth year or your generation? And I think that's it, at least for the first part.
Okay, John Grant. I was born August 2nd, 1974.
And so that would make you about to turn 51.
Yes.
Um, and I am Simon Grant, born in 2000. So I'm 24. Um, and so let's just jump right in. So, what part of your childhood in the 1980s or 1990s or even the 70s do you believe, or no, do you remember the most of your childhood?
Um, the biggest memories that I have as a child is uh, honestly nothing having to do with history. It would be more of family, um, spending time playing baseball. I remember very specifically a few different games that I've played in. Very specifically, remember waiting on my front porch after I got home from school for my stepfather to come home from work and play in the front yard, uh, either being just throw the ball back and forth or playing wiffle ball and just having good like family fun time like that.
Yeah.
Also play
Yes.
also playing with my friends.
Mm, I guess not a lot of technology is
Uh,
you kind of forced to go outside.
no, we played outside. We had a basketball goal that we would play with. Um, we had skateboards that we would skate up and down the street with, riding bicycles, um, playing in tree houses, playing in creeks, um, and yeah, a lot of it is playing outside.
Mm, okay. So for the next question, what personal effects did 9/11 have on you, and how do you believe it altered the nation?
Oh, all right. So try to keep it, I guess, short. Quick story. I vividly remember when it happened. Um, I was working the front counter at LJL Truck Center, and a customer walks in and says, "Have y'all heard a plane has crashed into the towers in New York?" So immediately, and that was the first one. Immediately, I thought, okay, so I've got a TV in the break room that is mine, literally a 4-inch black and white TV that just ran off of rabbit ears antenna. And I went and grabbed it real quick and brought it back up to the front counter. One of the other cameramen or countermen put it on the radio, and I plugged up and actually tuned in to the local news.
Mm,
And it wasn't long after I actually got it focused because this is TV, you have to actually turn the knob to get it to channel 13 and then try to focus it with the rabbit ears. We got it all focused, and then about six of us were gathered around a screen not much bigger than my cell phone right now,
mm.
black and white. And about that time, we saw the second plane hit. And yeah, it was very scary because at that point we realized that the first plane was not a mistake or not a pilot error, that it was kind of an obvious attack.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and, us obviously living fairly close to the Robins Air Force Base, we were kind of fearful, kind of scary. Um, I did call Maria, my wife, and because she was at home with the kids, you guys, really small. Um, and she said that she was sitting there watching it also. Um, how did it change the nation? Um, well, it, it definitely caused fear, and the fear kind of led into much stricter security measures. Think places you had to go and do. You had to make sure you had your credentials to get wherever you were going, especially if you're getting on a plane. Um, and I think it also kind of opened our eyes that at least generally that we're not um, immune to stuff happening, attacks happening on our soil. So that was kind of frightening.
Mm-hmm. Good answer. Good answer. That was good. All right. Next question. In your life, what technological advancement has shocked you the most?
Okay, so without a doubt, the cell phone.
Okay.
My stepfather was a cell phone salesman in Atlanta, so I remember the uh, bag cell phones. He actually had them, and he used them. And these cell phones were in a almost like a briefcase type bag that you had to open up. It had an antenna that you had to raise, and obviously it was only for making a phone call, and it did, have to not necessarily get to towers, but satellites. So you had to have good reception as far as where you actually were at. Um, so that was the like first uh, memory of what a cell phone is, and just looking at what we're doing today.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing how much a cell phone has come around. Um, Now, just to add to that, we did have computers, obviously too. We did have one of the very first Apple computers. It was an Apple IIc.
Mm-hmm.
It did not run on iOS or run on any kind of actual operating system, which honestly, your generation probably don't even understand, because you actually had to type in commands to do stuff. You couldn't even have a word processor and actually write anything on it. You actually had to have a floppy disk that you put in there with a program to write a paper. Um, so quite honestly, it wasn't well. It wasn't ours. At least wasn't even connected to the internet, and it wasn't very helpful or useful at the time. It was just almost kind of a neat gadget to say you had. Um, However, there were, like I said, other things that you could buy to put in there. Like if you wanted to do finances, you had to actually have a floppy disk to put in there for it.
Mm-hmm.
So those are probably the two biggest ones that I've experienced and seen.
Okay. Okay. All right. Moving on to the next question. Uh, what historical event do you remember learning in grade school that felt very meaningful at the time?
Learning in grade school. Uh, well, in general, World War II, bombing of Pearl Harbor, um, that kind of, yeah, got me really interested in history and war. Um, Trying to figure out why, at my young age, I was trying to figure out and understand why, why did that even happen? Um, and I guess from that, I kind of did develop uh, a love for history and actually looking into not necessarily what happened, but why it happened. And I actually, like, so that was grade school, but even in college, very specifically, I remember my history teacher even coming in first day of class, and he made a comment that history is made up, and that kind of sparked my interest. Meaning, what is he talking about? History isn't made up. History is history.
Mhm.
That's it. And then he went on to explain what he meant is there are historical events that happened. There's no, denying that this particular event happened. However, depending on what you actually read, the author that actually wrote it, the way that it's explained in our history books, as opposed to just say Germany's history books or Russia's history books, you get a different version of actually why it happened.
Mm.
Um, so it really depends on that, and that's the made up part. That's the part that whoever is actually writing it is essentially giving you their opinion on why it happened or what they believe is a more important reason why they think it happened. And the interesting thing about it is after you get into studying stuff like that, you get more of a broader knowledge of um, not necessarily they think that what they did was correct and we think what we did was correct, but you understand more and kind of empathize more with the way you know, at least the tragic events actually progressed.
Mm.
And not really progressed, but escalated.
Okay. Good, good, good. I like that answer. That's interesting. I never thought about it that way. Of history is made up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Next question. How does the COVID-19 pandemic how did it affect you personally, and how do you think it will be remembered?
All right, so first, very easily and very quickly, um, January 2020, I went on a trip to Washington, D.C. for work. I was, obviously on a plane and surrounded by many people across the country during the convention. I came home. That was at the end of January. And I came home, and not too long after that, it was first couple weeks in February. I got sick. I got sick as hell. Um, I ended up going to the doctor twice, them not knowing what I had, and they also just didn't know how to treat it other than just kind of treating it as a respiratory infection. But that was not getting any better. Um, and then it still ended up continuing to get worse. And I did end up going back uh, to the ER, and they actually admitted me into the hospital. I stayed admitted into the hospital for about 10 days. Um, with breathing treatments and stuff. They at that point still did not know what I had. And I never actually got uh, diagnosed with COVID at that time. However, I believe that it was pretty evident that that's probably what I had. Um, so as far as how it affected me personally, um, I caught it pretty early, and almost to the point where nobody knew what it was, and missed a lot of days of work because of it. Um, how did it? What was it? How did it affect the nation, or how will
Uh,
it?
how do you think it will be remembered?
You know what? I hate to say this, but I don't necessarily think that it will be really remembered very much. Um, Not necessarily in our generation or your generation, but the generation after you. It will be just more of a glance over. Yes, this was a pandemic that we had, and it killed a lot of people. I don't know that it is actually going to be expressed how bad it actually was.
Mhm.
Um, and that's really just the way that I feel about it. But um, it was pretty damn scary. It
Yeah.
was it was so scary that at work we had to, obviously wear masks. Um, uh, People, customers that would come in that didn't have masks were asked to leave. Were getting upset about it, and there was a lot of tensions, and there was a lot of division in people's beliefs about it. Um, at work, we ended up putting up uh, plexiglass between our workers and the customers. We made curbside uh, delivery just to keep people from actually coming into our work, and we could just take stuff out and deliver it to them. Um, so there was a lot of stuff that actually had to be worked around. But and not just my job, but anywhere you went, especially in the food industry, um, it just made it to where some of the stores actually, or restaurants and stuff, shut down because they were too afraid of actually serving people.
Yeah.
Um, However, I don't know, for some reason I just believe that it will, be in history books and stuff like that, but kind of glanced over, and not people really understand the magnitude that it actually caused in the world itself.
All right. Two two more questions. Uh, how have you seen political parties and the economy change over time?
So the quick question in that, I believe that the left has got further left and the right has got further right.
Hmm.
Um, and over time, I believe that the political parties are I don't know, what do you say? Stubborn?
Mm.
So stubborn that they don't want to meet in the middle, which is very frustrating because it to me, in my experience, uh, and I know this may sound crazy, but to me, in my experience, if a you have a Democrat president and a Democrat Congress, things get done.
Hmm.
However, if you have a Republican Congress and a Republican president, things get done. But if you have the opposite, nothing happens. And to me, to me, I would rather something be done or something get done so we can figure out is that the right thing or if that was the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Because not getting anything done, then you don't know. You're just
Yeah.
not. You're just arguing, and just nothing is getting even attempted. So, to me, being very in the middle, I just want to see something tried,
Mm.
um, and then logic. Hey, it ain't working, or do it and then do away with it.
Hmm.
Um, so it just seems like over my lifetime that them not make I don't want to say making exceptions, but they're more polarized. They're so far apart and stubborn that neither parties will actually come together and say, you know what, uh, let's try this. Uh, and in a sense, uh, if it is a mixed, like president versus Congress, um, we're paralyzed and nothing happens. And, that's not good. That's kind of like not changing and doing anything at work to try to get better. If you're not trying to get better, then you're just existing.
Yeah. I like that. That's a good answer. All right. Last question. How would you advise someone my age to deal with significant historical shifts?
Educate yourself. Um, okay, so educate yourself quickly, and fully. Kind of like going back to history's made up. Um, have an open mind
Fine.
and try to just educate yourself, not just from social media, but books, just a bunch of different sources, and good, reliable sources. Um, another thing that I'd say is don't doom and gloom it. Oh God, this is happening. We're all going to die. Um, I have made it through a few different things that I have been like, oh, this is going to be bad. This is going to be bad. This is going to be bad. And yeah, it really is just causing stress and chaos now over something that actually wasn't that big of a deal, and sometimes didn't even happen the way that it happened in my head. So I can always create something a hell of a lot worse in my head than actual reality.
Mm.
So uh, educate yourself fully and quickly, um, and just golly, disconnect from the out or expect the best, but disconnect from the outcome.
Mhm.
So expect that even though that happened, it's going to be okay. And if it's not, then educate yourself on that. Um, uh, and when I say educate yourself, I'll just elaborate a little bit more and say, uh, truly believe in something.
Mhm.
Um, and, when I say truly believe in something, allow other people to truly believe in something too,
Mhm.
but don't hate them for it.
Mhm.
That's one of our like biggest in the United States. That's one of our biggest benefits is we have so many people, such diversity, uh, such different cultures. That is a plus. That is awesome. Um, don't be afraid to interact with people of different beliefs, culture, whatever, um, and actually empathize with them, not necessarily sympathize with them, but they have different experiences, and their experiences uh, affect them in certain ways. So you want to um, understand that their experiences are also valid.
Yeah. We're all human in the end.
Yes, we are. And we're all on one specific human goal,
Yep.
just to live our best life.
Amen. Well, I think that should wrap it up. Thank you again for doing this, and I will talk to you later. Oh, there.
Sorry. This sounds great. I appreciate it, buddy.